Good evening, welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. What you are seeing here is SAIDA, and SAIDA is a Brood War AI coded by a team of Samsungs, and well, they are from Korea and they've got a powerful backer, so I did receive a lot of recommendations with this bot in it, and of course I had a look at the rankings, which I won't spoil for the moment. I'll be talking a lot about that later. But as more than half the recommendations this week were about Seda, I thought, well, let's see what it does. So, starting out with the depot at a nice spot, just walling up the choke a little bit, and CrazyO, of course, the eternal #1 adversary of everyone, is going to start without a wall, so depot in, well, right below the command center, then a refinery, and for the time being, it appears to be a perfect mirror matchup, and Seda is being led on a goose chase, so it's good to know that not everything changes as fast as it could, but perhaps something cute will be done with this scouting SCV of CrazyO's. Now the barracks is there, and the Marine is sort of trying to cut off the SCV, but then again is finding himself right along goose chase. Oh, and there goes the barracks. So factory started. CrazyO also lifted his racks and has started the factory as well. Let's see, about halfway done. And at the other end, it seems like Seda is a little bit ahead, but CrazyO's a little bit ahead in the SCV department. Of course, CrazyO skipped that one Marine, but as long as it's chasing that scouting SCV, I would say, oh, here we go. And Seda is scouting out CrazyO as well, and is having a little bit more difficulty because at every turn it gets 1 or 2 hits of that SCV's plasma cutter, and CrazyO is getting the first kill with a vulture, which then takes up position right at the choke. So there you go, CrazyO now building a depot at the edge of the base for some vision, and Seda is going to do this with only 1 factory. That's cute. But with a very quick natural and of course a bunker, so a bit of a standoff right now. Both players have got visions of the other's vulture, and let's see how this game is going to develop. CrazyO going for more vision, and of course if you are under some kind of air threat, that's good to have. First tank coming out, CrazyO's got 3 factories, armory nearly done, but at the price of delaying the natural, and Seda has got the natural nearly done. SCV counts are similar, and I expect a nice transfer of SCVs. There it is. None of them with full minerals loaded, but let's see how that's going to turn out. And now CrazyO is trying to... oh, it's going to push out with a handful of SCVs, a couple of tanks, and 4 vultures. Seda is on the defense, but is going to... oh, the tanks are sieging. That's going to slow down CrazyO's push. Now we've got this bunker, we've got 2 tanks of Seda's, and let's see if Seda's got siege mode as well. We've got nearly 2 comms hats done. CrazyO hasn't got the academy yet and still hasn't got the natural, so rather late, and is trying to do some damage here. Here comes the first tank, and now it's going to be a game of tank leapfrog, and I hope that Seda is prepared. The tanks come off now, and the SCVs come off the line. The tanks are the main targets, but the SCVs are there. Well, at least 1 or 2 are there. I think there are 2. 2 SCVs are there. Now siege mode for Seda as well. And here come the tanks of Seda. It's going to be quite tense. Seda has got the air cover, and CrazyO is going to suffer. Where are the SCVs for repair? They are nowhere to be found. They are heading back for some reason. That's not good at all, but the vultures come in and the Goliaths charge. The defenses of Seda are buckling. Are there more tanks in the rear? Doesn't look like it. Seda's going to defend against some kind of an air threat, but I doubt it will be coming. CrazyO is fully committed to this 1 air push and is storming the natural. So, despite all the recommendations, I think that CrazyO with this very deadly push, which is mainly built to counter iron and of course the good Protoss we have right now, but Seda isn't out of this yet. There is 1 tank still, and it's gone. Very few SCVs. They are not in the front lines repairing the SCVs, and Seda must... Seda might just throw up some kind of defense with the choke and a couple of tanks, but the tanks need to come now, and although the side range is there, and Seda, oh, the tank unsieges a little bit too And now let's see for how long SAIDA can hold this with only one tank. The answer to that will be not very long, because the tank is dead and CrazyO still is not taking a natural, although there are lots of minerals in the bank. And I think, well, let's not think about that. Just watch how SAIDA is going to wriggle out of this. CrazyO still hasn't entered the base, and still it's a 1 versus 1 base situation, although the army supplies are wildly uneven at this moment. SAIDA trying to get something done with the Goliaths, but right now there are so many tanks, it doesn't really matter anymore how many Goliaths you send at them. Vultures entering the base, mining starting, and there you go. The Vultures have reached the SCV lines, and that's generally a good time to call the GG. CrazyO finally taking the natural, and that's the game. So SAIDA taking a good start, but then faltering a little bit. And let's have a peek at the number. This is the 27, and I needed to be right back. Yes, there you go. So, without further ado, let's pick a little bit larger map, because I had about, well, don't exaggerate, but I had a lot of recommendations of games of SAIDA versus all the top bots, and especially versus CrazyO, and I think that CrazyO is going to be put to the test, because I never received so many recommendations of a specific matchup unless it is very spectacular. So here comes CrazyO's scouting SCV, and you can see now it's being targeted by the chasing SCV of SAIDA's. SAIDA's scouting SCV is a little bit late, and now CrazyO is going for a very quick command center, while SAIDA is going for the quick barracks, and the scouting SCV is heading back, and now SAIDA will scout the quick command center, not going to pester the constructing SCV, and CrazyO now in the goose chase of its own. So there we go. Let's see what's going to happen now. I think that's going to be a factory, and only after one marine has been built, the barracks is lifting, and it's going to be a factory. So CrazyO will have the devil of a job trying to hold this. There is going to be a bunker, and there might even be a couple of marines for it. I'd say there is going to be one at least, and the first vulture is going to be on the warpath, snipping an SCV, and there comes the natural of SAIDA's. And SAIDA's, although SAIDA delayed the construction of that natural a little bit, isn't totally as all-in as CrazyO was just a little bit earlier. Need to tune this down just a tiny little notch, otherwise I'm going to have to scream all the way through, and that's not all that enjoyable for me at least, and I'm sure for you as listeners it must be quite hellish as well. So SAIDA going to defend with a bunker and a tank. Worker counts slightly in favor of CrazyO. Barracks overhead is seeing everything, and neither player really committing to lots of units. And it's only now that the army production is finally getting into some kind of a shape. SAIDA defending, and all the units behind the natural bunker, and CrazyO is going to pose this tank behind the wall. That's a good place, and this vulture had really rather be careful not to get blasted once more, because then it will be the end. So, taking stock, SAIDA with, well, walling off behind the minerals. That's unorthodox for Brood War AI, but as a human player you might well want to do that. And now CrazyO is taking a third, and this building got killed somehow. Army wise, both players are really rather balanced, and SAIDA taking the position on the high ground, and I think that must be intentional. So SAIDA is trying to take this part of the map. Nice bit of defense, there is nothing else here, so that's really the reason why I think that this high ground camping is intentional. And immediately well, 4 turrets are being built. That's crazy. Oh, that's not crazy, that's quite a lot. CrazyO has now got the third up and running, defended by a single siege tank. Some vultures might swoop around the bend and try to do some harassment there, but it's not at this point going to be. So let's take stock. Both players got siege mode, CrazyO's got mines and is mining up all the bases just to have some intel. And CrazyO's also starting the Goliath range. So upgrade wise it seems to be okay. And again, I didn't catch this army moving, but again it's positioned on the high ground, at least on the higher part of this ramp, which counts as high ground. And it appears that SAIDA is trying to trying to divide up the map, split it in half. CrazyO taking a fourth, SAIDA having just completed the third, and some more potent defenses, and also 2 tanks on the high ground. So it's not just like CrazyO's doing, sending 1 tank and building a turret, but it's really making sure that nothing is going to happen there. And before the base is taken, and I assume this base is going to be taken, there will be 2 tanks, and immediately they'll kill the vulture. So 2 tanks and 2 Goliaths, as seems to be the standard complement for base defense, seems to be the recipe of SAIDA's. Oh, and SAIDA will catch this SUV perhaps. No, it won't. And now you can see where this is going to bifurcate. CrazyO appears to be a little bit quicker on the macro, expanding just a little bit sooner than the enemy, and is going for a less defensive strategy. You can see a couple of mines and 2 tanks, 2 Goliaths at each base for SAIDA. SAIDA, of course, has got this good position, but CrazyO's got an equally good position. So now I'd say it will all come down to decision making. Both players have got a comparable army. CrazyO has a little bit more workers, but oh dear, here come 3 dropships. Let's have a look at that. We've got 1 tank, 2 Goliaths lower than this one, and this one has got something in it as well. So we've got 3 tanks, and now SAIDA is on the move, staying nice on the ridges of this high ground. Crazy, of course, has got the high ground position as well. But oh, here comes the drop. Are there any turrets? Yes, there is one, and there is 1 tank, but otherwise, oh, lots of turrets and some reinforcements. Now CrazyO has got the vision on these tanks, but I'll need to catch this as well. And SAIDA drops, killing the home defense tank, and of course the rallies will close in on it, so nothing too drastic is going to be done about that. There is 1 defending siege tank, and of course you need that because there are quite a bit of vultures over here, and this tank is doing what it can. The drop gets cleaned up, and in the middle of the map, CrazyO holds its position, and I think comes out 70 army supply and about 12 worker supply ahead. So there you go. There are some vultures on the prowl, killing one of CrazyO's vultures, so SAIDA seems to be on top of the harassment situation for now, and still at each base we've got this 2-2 setup of tanks and vultures, and now SAIDA is finding this base. CrazyO immediately cancelling it. It isn't in a very safe position. Now now the entire map is split, and CrazyO trying to break through here with a lot of tanks, some matrix as well. Both players got science vessels overhead, and CrazyO's got a dropship as well, and SAIDA is pushing here in the middle of the map, where is a nice factory encampment of CrazyO's, but oh, and all the vultures get blown up by a mine of its own. That's very unfortunate, but that's pretty good fighting by SAIDA. Now, those are mines, and that's a base with only 1 tank, so apparently SAIDA's running out of force to send for the defense, and now it's both players who've got this high ground, and for SAIDA I do think it's intentional, and for CrazyO, seeing the close perimeter of this high ground thing looks sort of intentional as well. We'll have to look at some more games before we can conclude that it's really going to be intentional. Now SAIDA is trying to harass some more with some tanks as well, and no, the defenses here haven't been shored up, but SAIDA appears to be on the offensive, and CrazyO with only 1 tank over here is going to be hard put to try and defend that, because CrazyO's basically locked down, and it's not really finding a way to reinforce this base up here. Both players are now maxed, and let's take stock of the upgrades. Both players starting the 3-3. CrazyO appears to have 1 more armory, so for the time being it seems to be a stalemate, and this can be so good. These 2 terminals are very good, and SAIDA is completely trouncing these bases of CrazyO. CrazyO cannot defend. This base has got a complement of 2 tanks, 2 Goliaths, this one too. This one's only got 1 tank. CrazyO is now 1 base down, and this base has been shut down mining wise. And of course there is 1 tank, but this 1 tank does appear not to be enough. Oh, and the mine hits, and there will be another mine, or the vultures will just outright kill it. The SFVs can't repair in time, and CrazyO is being shifted out of this base as well. Now here there are only mines, but these vultures of SAIDA's are everywhere, and have learnt the trick of if they have no mines, they still trying to mine up tanks, so that doesn't really work. Oh, and SAIDA's now coming around this bend, and with a nice drop, taking some hits from the turret, but this base is going to be shut down record speed. And Seda is holding this high ground beautifully. CrazyO is trying to reinforce now, has found a way out, but does really appear to be hesitating. And Seda has now got the eco advantage. He's got 3 bases mining, and CrazyO still got only 2, retaking the natural, which was shut down by a drop earlier. Perhaps I missed one drop because the first drop didn't shut down the natural completely. But Seda has now taken this base, and a lot of forces are pent up in it, but now they're rolling back home to base. 2 tanks sieging, might as well, and the map slowly turning blue, and as a sight for CrazyO that's really rather unfamiliar. Now Seda is starting to shell this base over here, and although CrazyO is still maxed, CrazyO can't really do much about it. It's got no mobility. And where are these dropships? Oh, the dropships do congregate at the main. They sort of get repaired. Oh, and there they go. If there are 3 of them, they are going to move out. And the problem is that all the force of CrazyOs are up here, and there is only 1 tank over there with 1 turret. So there you go. Nice drop. Oh, and oh well, that must be the overlay, because the dropship on the minimap are still there. But now Seda is taking shots at the natural of CrazyOs again. CrazyO retaliating immediately, but still a lot of damage has been done. And do not forget that this base got completely racked by this nice group of siege tanks. So Seda taking yet another base, appears to be in a prime condition. And CrazyO still maxed, but really can't find a way to do something about Seda. Seda is all over the place, and with that drops is actually doing damage. And this sort of static position is nice, but if you are not damaging the enemy, it's not going to work. And CrazyO now trying to push with the science vessel range, seems to be getting off a couple of shots every now and again, but also taking some shots in return, and neither player can do very much in this stage of the game. So where are the dropships? Are they round the bend? Yeah, here they go. So apparently, alternatively, they take the direct route and a more circumspect tour of the map. And if they were to hit this place of the map, this base is mined out. So CrazyO, although it's got a bit of a bank, is not going... Oh, that turret is going to do a lot of damage, but these Goliaths, only 2 got dropped. They will shut it down. And now the oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, that's a lot of DPS, and right in the base. This tank is going to do some blasting, and Seda had better clean it up. CrazyO, ooh, these tanks unfortunately are right out of sight range of this tank, but here come the vultures. And they have got a mine, and this tank gets killed. So Seda following up the drop with the push, and is not even... Oh well, it's going to push a little bit here as well. CrazyO still basically maxed, but taking a lot of damage, and CrazyO hasn't got the mobility. This base is shut down. The air forces are not on CrazyO's side at this moment. And Seda taking yet another base. Seda is playing this beautifully. The dropships are back at the main base, and it looks like this starport is making yet another dropship. So the full complement of Sedas appears to be 3 dropships, and Seda is even pushing CrazyO back a little bit over here. CrazyO still got a lot of forces, but is now sort of supply blocked as these tanks are doing a lot of damage, and even to the units. So CrazyO is starved, practically. Seda's got a big bank, has got a lot more supply. The question is, how is Seda going to try and kill this tank army of CrazyOs? But oh, here come the SCVs, and the SCVs, they deem the map not very safe, and here come the dropships again. Where are they going to hit? The turret is still there, so I think they are going to hit the natural, and if they do, CrazyO will have to come down, and it's already coming down. Here comes the tank army of Sedas, and Seda, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, taking a little bit of flak, but all in all is in a brilliant position. CrazyO now 20 supply down and out of money. Completely out of money, and Seda has got this brilliant tank position over here. Now, of course, the dropships are getting repaired, but the problem is, where will Seda get the forces from to... oh, CrazyO now long distance mining all the way over here. That's pretty ballsy. CrazyO needs to get something done, is relying on defense for far too much. And although Seda now is feeling the pain of this push, this is what its production tab looks like, and CrazyO can do nothing about that. Only got 200 to 500, and Seda is going to trade. And if Seda's going to trade, oh dear, these tanks are right in the line of fire. CrazyO has got a lot of forces trying to defend main, but they can't really do much because this tank line is pretty good. And without air forces, CrazyO can't do too much about that. And meanwhile, buildings are dying. Where are the... Oh, here are the dropships taking the long way round, and CrazyO is not really finding a safe path towards home anymore because, oh, the tanks have been cleaned up. So CrazyO defending pretty well for all intents and purposes, but is out of minerals, have nothing left, and the SCVs are not finding their way back home again. SAIDA is going to push, and SAIDA is going to reproduce units at an alarming rate. CrazyO dropping steadily in supply, but SAIDA is really taking the hits, just going to trade. Should be careful though, because even the wounded CrazyO can still launch a pretty good push. But without any money at all. Oh, and here is the drop of SAIDA's right in the back of the base. So CrazyO will have to abandon this position to try and save the main base. Now building a command center looks like, but is that going to work? I really doubt it. SAIDA is now going to occupy this high ground over here, and the tank drop in the middle of the base is still there. The dropships are again congregating at the main command center. They might take a more forward position, but CrazyO is being shifted from its main base, and that's a sight very unusual. So there you go. SAIDA rocking the boat, killing CrazyO at the second attempt, and that is pretty bloody murder. Look at that. Production tab right on time. Upgrades all there. Oh, well, not all there really. And technology not all there, but the gameplay with that drop thing going on is really rather good. And where are the drop? Oh, here come the dropships again, and that will just add insult to injury because CrazyO's army has been reduced to about 18, and now that is the last tank, and the main is gone. There is one tank being killed slowly, and it might be killed eventually, but the damage is done. CrazyO is out of this game. So I am going to call the GG and well, hop into another game of SAIDA, because this Samsung bot, and I can show you this now, the ELO ratings are now such that SAIDA is about 35 points above CrazyO, then comes Dutchian and Locutus. Dutchian is a little bit of an upgrade of Locutus, then Banana Brain, Purple Wave, TCMU Random, Cherry Pie, and Cherry Pie's upgrade for AIIDE we haven't received yet, if there has been one, but is going to be pretty good. And Killabot has dropped to about 10th, 11th place, and that's very unusual. It is doing pretty good. So Proxy got an update as well, and let's see what it's going to be like, because as I said, it's all about the big games now, and SAIDA has proven with that game against CrazyO that it can play a murderous drop game, and its macro and decision making is next to none. So that will be a very tight competition in the coming months, and of course during the Christmas holiday our own finals will start, so that will be a sight to see. With all these good bots, the game is definitely getting so much better. It's out of this world. And right now Proxy is starting off with a handful of Zerglings, and there is only one Marine, and it's over there, so that's not good. The Zerglings, they run by, no, they are going to find the SCV and are going to shut down the command center and this building and kill one more SCV. There is a Vulture now, which will out-0 two Vultures, which will out-micro these Marines. And although SAIDA did suffer a little bit of a setback, it's not going to be too hard to recover from it. Only one bunker, a couple of SCVs, and a little bit of building time lost. And, ooh, SAIDA trying a run by, but is stopped in its track by two Valiantlings and of course the Sunken Colony. It appears that Proxy is going to do some kind of a lurker play, and the question is, will SAIDA be ready for that? Microing down Vultures, yes, that's good. Macro there as well. And now it's going for a quick armory, and this is going to be not an academy, it's going to be another factory. So it appears that Proxy is doing, for the time being, okay with this lurker play. Worker-wise, doing really rather well. Sacrificing a bit too many links for my taste, but you can't have it all, as they say. And now SAIDA's going for another large building, so not yet an academy. Might be... oh, that's turrets, of course, can detect stuff as well. But, ooh, that's a little bit... I think a drone snuck out and started the third base. And another in-base macro hatchery, that's good. Proxy really laying down the law, and oh dear, the first Hydra got killed, badly killed. And is that going to be another base? Wow, that's quite hungry for Proxy. Now SAIDA is going to play air defense for some reason. I think it's somehow got wind of the lair and then decided, well, we are going to see Mutas, but of course that's not really true. The Hydras are pushing back. Oh, this is not going to be a Hydra play. Look at all the drones. Proxy is on 40 drones, building a lot of tech, is not going for... appears not to be going for lurkers at all, just going to build a lot of Hydras. And if SAIDA has been tricked into not making too many tanks, it's going to be in a world of pain, and Proxy should not commit with these 4 Hydras, because that defensive position is completely impregnable. 3rd up and running. 4th started, nearly done. 5th, oh well, this is the 4th and the 5th is nearly done. Drones getting transferred, 2x2, 3x4s and 4s, Proxy nearly 50 workers, and upgrade wise looking as good as could be. So SAIDA has got 2 bases, got a very good defensive position, but I think it totally read this wrong, where it's now defending against an air threat which isn't there. Now going for a 3rd base, tank on the high ground, so another proof that SAIDA is aware of the concept of high ground and low ground, so that might be very interesting as more and more bots are going to add that to their coding. Now Proxy is droning like a madman, and that, wow, jumping to 474 in one fell jump, and is taking all the base in the map. But now these Hydras will have to do some heavy fighting, and versus +1 factory units you are going to need a lot of Hydras. And this production tab does contain a lot of Hydras. Meanwhile, more bases taken. This one is going to die. Hydra going to get caught. Drone transfer is going to be aborted. And Proxy's got a lot of Hydras and is just going to grind it, I think. Is just going for the throat, no matter the tank in the rear. And the tank is going to get killed. These bridges are definitely not going to be taken. And Proxy is going to offer SAIDA some nice Hydra soup. Saving the base though, but this angle of attack is the worst you could possibly imagine. Oh dear, even firing shots at this floating barracks. SAIDA now on 3 bases, and if Proxy is not going to come down here with a couple of Hydras, but still insists on taking this bloody battle with these 4 tanks and a lot of Goliaths at the rear. Oh dear, upgrade wise, Proxy doing its utmost, teching its arse off, and here you go, 80 workers, all the bases in the world, and lots of Hydras coming in, and now also at this base. So SAIDA will now have to defend, but SAIDA is defending over here with Goliaths and still pursuing this action at the bridges and moving in with some Goliaths down the middle of the maps. But Proxy is now trying to clean this up. The production of proxies is insane. It is really wacked. Well, that isn't even a word. Wicked or wacko, but whatever. Wacky, whatever. I don't know. I just can't find my words anymore. Proxy saving this base, and now there is a lot of Zerg action going on all over the map. This base, despite the best defenses of SAIDA's, is shut down. Proxy is rolling, and the production tab now includes a lot of Zerglings. Upgrades for Zerglings are still coming up, but by the time these Lings will be here, I am sure that the Adrenal Glands will be there, and of course Link Speed's done already. That is a lot of Lurkers, morphing straight into the choke, and although they are not doing the most damage, I think that with this base shut down, this defense is over. SAIDA being put to the test, tank on the high ground getting shut down as well, and oh, we are going to see Ultras as well. That is really... Proxy, you can't leave Proxy alone like that. Apparently it's going to murder you from all angles of the map, taking all the bases, save this one and the natural yet, but Proxy is now at 70, 75, and the production tab is relatively empty, and I think that is because it's supply blocked and it's only building 2-3 overlords at a time. And there you go, SAIDA getting blown from the map. That is a lot of Zerg forces, and Proxy isn't even maxed and is now... Ooh, is there a... Wow, that's just brutal. So Proxy taking one, and that's the GG. Wow, that's... These games are really getting wild. And yeah, well, let's start at the other end now, because we got more upgrades. We got an upgrade of Microwave as well, so let's see how Microwave is doing against Simon Prince's tier bot. It's not the most recent Simon Prince project, There is tier Protoss as well, but still tier Terran is pretty good. Let's see if Microwave has got what it takes to beat it down. Simon Prince will of course be playing a nice hybrid strategy of bio and mech, and is starting out with a single barracks and then appears to be saving some money for another command center. Microwave going for the natural, then the pool, and this is going to be a sunken. Interestingly placed, but fearing some kind of a run by, and that's a quick natural by Simon Prince. Simon Prince with the bunker for defense. Microwave is going to reinforce with some Zerglings, but that's hardly going to be enough, and with only 2 hatcheries it's not too much it can do. And Tier is going to build a lot of depots in a tight formation. Large main, so shouldn't really run out of building space, but some bots, they do tend to want to have one unit path between all the buildings, and that can make you run out quite quickly, especially if you take the borders into account, like is happening here and there. Oh no, it isn't, so this is tight. The Hydras are there, and the Hydras now get beaten back by the Marines, but there aren't all that many Marines. And ooh, Simon Prince's tier is in for a beating, because these hatcheries are not going to be trifled with. The SCVs are coming off the line, but I think that's going to be it. There are some Marines still, but there are only 2, and they are microing there as best as they can, but there are just too many Hydras, and Microwave is just not following this up. It's just building some infrastructure and drones and things. Killing the command center, that's good. And Tier is... what's Tier doing? Tier is sitting on its ass and not really building anything. It's building an upgrade and some technology, but no... oh, here come the barracks come online again. So that's good, natural lost, but this defensive bunker is right on time, and Microwave is going to shore up its own defenses, completely misanalyzing the game. But I think that Tier is going to enjoy this. Now with 2 medics, Tier is going on the warpath. I don't know if that's the brightest decision, but Microwave is taking a very offensive third in the direction of the Terran threat. And Tier, what are you going to do now? Switch to some kind of a factory play while putting some pressure on the Zerg with this handful of bio. It's a plan, but I don't really know how well it's going to work. Upgrade wise, Terran is okay, and Zerg's just a little bit ahead. And if your Marines are running, they can't shoot, and you should defend with all of them. Now siege mode done, but I think that this tank is dead to the world, and now it's that one defensive bunker all over again. And Tier just got its order papers handed to it. There is a tank with this bunker over here, a couple of medics, so Tier okay in defense, but really overextended there. And Microwave is just ferrying in mutas to die at the hands of the bunker, and of course the siege tank. Oh, 1 Marine got killed, 2 Marines got killed, that's pretty good, and 3 Marines got killed, but that's about the extent of the damage that Microwave is going to do. And Microwave refusing to take a 4th. We saw that brilliant macro by Proxy. Proxy would have taken the entire map right now. And now Tier is going to move out with 2 siege tanks. I think it can defend the natural, so should be okay for the mid-game. There we go. 2 tanks, a handful of bio, and technology is there as well. So these Hydras really haven't got too much to say in this game until some greater force pops up, or some technological wonder at the Zerg end of things is going to make life easier for them. Now Tier is going to extend its defenses by building a bunker and a turret, immediately populating the bunker, so creating a little bit of breathing space for itself. I think that's good. Microwave refusing to take a 4th, building a lot of in-base hatches, and this is going to be a spire. Oh wow, and another in-base hatch. So hatchery-wise, Microwave doing okay. Supply-wise, could be better, keeping its money down, acceptable. Oh, and this was another bloody victory for Microwave again, a Pyrrhic victory. And, oh, now catching a nice number of Hydras. The combat micro of Simon Prince's tier is suboptimal to say the least. And now Microwave is going to have its way with the map. The scouting of Simon Prince is shut down. And although Microwave can't really move into this base yet, every time Tyr is overextending and trying to do too much with too few units. And Microwave is now making some forces. Always a good idea. That's a lot of Hydras coming up. Have we got any air upgrades? Yes, +1 air armor and a lot of ground upgrades. And here comes Microwave again. This is a bloody slaughter. These Marines are quite efficient. The tank is blasting from the rear. And these Hydras are pretty juicy despite their upgrades. And with 2 tanks, Tyr is in an okay position, but should really wait before pushing until it's got way more tanks. Here comes the bio. Let's hit the upgrade of the bio. +2 weapons, range, stim. No stim? Oh, that's wild. Who plays bio without stim? Must have forgotten. Like Stork forgot goon range versus Bisu. That was really funny as well. And now Simon Prince extending its forces again. Then overextending again. But Microwave not really able to make a fist, and Simon Prince is trying to shut down this base quite successfully. And oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, the reinforcement being cut down, that's good. But the main force is still there and doing a lot of damage to units being fed into the fight piecemeal. Now the mutas come clean it up and this base is saved. So again, Simon Prince left with 0 units on the map, and there are now 4 Zerg bases, 5th one has started. And even though, ooh, the Muta Cloud is getting really aggressive now. There are quite a bit of Marines, so don't know if that's the wisest approach. Overlords overhead, but oh, Simon Prince is going to march straight past, going to try and take out this base over here, but then again really overextending, and this base is quite defenseless. But now the entire Zerg army is sweeping back to try and defend this, and I think it's going to be way too late, but the Marines are now no longer targeting the hatchery, and this expeditionary force is completely run into the ground. And now Simon Prince has mined out the main, is on 1 base, has got quite a bit of an army with the science vessel, but oh, I can't really see this working. The Muta Cloud of Microwaves is pretty good, and the upgrades are pretty dandy as well, and the production tab is just way out of control. Tyr is stuck on 1 base, and the enemy is left the entire map to bustle in, and that is quite something. So not quite as hungry as Proxy, not as fast, but the end effect is the same. And although Simon Prince's Tyr is not as good in adversary as Seda appears to be, I think we are going to see a lot of Zerg blood yet. And Simon Prince will defend for what it's worth, but it's not going to matter. The naturals mining out. There are 50 SCVs mining in this small contained area, and Microwave is now making ultras. So the Hydras, is there stim now? There is no stim. The Marines, with stim, they would have won this ages ago. The Marines are going to fall to the Hydras alone. And then that was the end of the defense. There is a small army again, but here comes 1 ultra and 1 ultra to buffer the damage while the Hydras do the blasting and the DPS. It is going to be brutal. Production tab wise, lots of ultras. I like ultras, they're not the most efficient, but they get the job done. So Microwave taking a bloody victory over Simon Prince. And will we have no tech upgrades at all, just plain straightforward upgrades. And Tyr for getting stim, that's wild. And now this game is over. So yeah, there we go. Another 2 upgrades were Asbirth, and that was some kind of an acronym for one terrain analysis thing, so I'm going to call it BIRD. All kinds of weird connotations, and I don't like to call a bot by its rear end. So BIRD going to play as the Purple Terran, and Maddening Zerg got an upgrade as well, so with all the great examples it's got, let's see how it is going to play. Spawning Pool and Sunken, that's pretty defensive, I would say. And that is a nice trick by Asper, going to build an eBay, not quite finishing it, so it might get cancelled, and that was, oh dear, Madnix not taking any shit from Bird today and just taking the middle of the map, not even going to bother tearing down that thing record speed, going to put some pressure on the Terran, but Bird is going to play some kind of a bio thing, and will defend the choke tight. So, eBay, I don't know if it got cancelled or killed, it doesn't really matter at this point anymore, but now the natural's open for Maddening to take a lot of Sunkens. That's really rather defensive, and the main or the middle base is now taken, and Asbert has got a lot of forces. Will it have stim? Yes, of course, that's the first thing you build, and then range, and then the normal upgrades. So without stim, playing bio, that may be one of the worst build orders you can imagine. And that is yet one more sunken over here, and this is some kind of a tech building. It's going to be a spire. So this is pretty wacky by Madmix. The Terran is going to find this base. Yep, there it goes, and then it will be a 1 versus 2 base situation. And I think the little ploy of blocking the natural with an eBay worked. And Madmix just didn't know what to do and took the worst possible base, except the Terran natural perhaps. And now these Sunkens might come in handy, but I think that this Terran army is not going to take any fuss from 2 or 3 or 4 Sunken colonies. There they go, just stim, run in, try and do damage, just trade. And although the Zerglings and a Muta, oh well, they're just going to evaporate. You can see what difference it makes to have stim or not. And these Marines don't even really die, and now the Spire is gone, and one Marine, just one Marine dies per Sunken, and that is really awesome. These Mutas, they just evaporate. It looks like Bird is going to play this beautifully. So will be interesting to see what Bird's going to be doing in the future. For now, it seems to be quite on point and capable of killing a decent Zerg. So next game up is another pair of bots which have been updated. It's Simplicity, the Zerg which started all this dropping business before Seda did. And well, it used to do quite good drops in the Terran main. And of course we've got Toothpick Cactus, got an upgrade as well. And Toothpick is also one of these bots which have successfully made the transition from 1, 2, 3 to huge large-scale macro bots, and that's also very interesting to watch. So defensive bunker at the top of the ramp, then expanding the defense to the natural choke, no bunker there, but for the time being appears to be okay, and it appears to be going for some kind of a bio build. Now again a Zerg bot with a lot of defensive potential, or potential defensive Sunkens, and it appears that Toothpick is going to do a timing, and that can be pretty lethal if you haven't got lurkers. So will there be lurkers? Perhaps. Lurker aspect is done. Oh, but here comes the Terran push, and this is going to be one deadly timing, because Zerg hasn't really got an army of its own. There is a Hydra and some Lings are on the high ground, but oh, that is prettily blocked in, and of course this is not the best position for these, the best formation of these Sunkens. And meanwhile the barracks are flashing, the army of Toothpick is growing. And the question is, oh, here is the lurker. So there is one lurker, there is one comsat with 1 or 2 scans, and this one's got 2 or 3 scans, so that's pretty decent. Where is the lurker? And the lurker should fight in tandem with the Sunken colonies and the Zerglies. Then it will have a good chance of doing major damage. But it cannot be denied that Simplicity is going to be put under a lot of pressure. And one drone is sneaking out, that's so good. Third base for Terran already nearly done, and more barracks coming up for Toothpick. Toothpick playing this beautifully. Might even do with a dropship to just get some units across, but now we've got 3 lurkers, and that's oh, that's pretty ballsy. Scan goes off, 1 gets killed, 2 get killed, and that is not how you play a lurker defense versus superior numbers. Now the Terran army is still growing. It's 30 versus 7, and here comes the Terran push with the siege tank, and I don't know why this bio blob is taking so much damage from these Sunkens. The Vulture is going to get killed, but this tank is slowly going to take this base to pieces, and with the 3rd base up and running and a 4th base soon to be taken, it looks like, I think that Toothpick is in a very good position. This bio timing push kind of stuff is very hard for any player to hold, let alone a Zerg player. Ooh, and that lurker just wandered straight up to his death, and there you go. Toothpick Toothpick turning the thumb screws a little bit tighter, and although loss is there, it can't afford to, because Talon's got an army of 30 and Zerg only 14, and it's now, this third base got started, so Zerg is in an okay position, might even recover, but needs to defend versus... Here come the Lurkers, but the Lurkers are too slow and they get killed without firing a single shot, and that's very expensive. Zerg cannot commit loss like that. And here comes the Natural. The Natural's being completely torn to shreds by the tanks, and there is a Wraith overhead. And it's going to find that Lurker. So now Zerg is in a dire position. It's only 22 versus 50 workers. Toothpick Cactus is really getting out of control. Could have some more barracks. Because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 5 bases, 6 barracks, and that's not really the right mixture. Going for some more tech and of course taking the main. So I think that simplicity, well, defending is always harder than attacking, so it's not... I wouldn't want to chide simplicity. These bio-timing attacks right before Lurker pops, they are very powerful, as demonstrated over here. The main gets torn to shreds. There are 2 Sunkens over there, and there is another base, but I don't think that simplicity can hold. Let's see if Toothpick's got the brains to rove the map and scan what's out there. Oh dear, yeah, there we go. Valkyries and Wraiths overhead, and that was the game. So 6 barracks, lots of money in the bank. Not mining all that many geysers, that's strange. That appears to be really hampering Toothpick. Only mining from 1 depleted, or is it depleted? No, it's not yet depleted geyser. And not yet mining from all the other refineries, but taking the game in style. So I got another recommendation, and I've got 2 more games, and I thought, well, let's wait with those till the bitter end. We have got here, we've got CrazyO versus Banana Brain. Banana Brain also working very hard. And if you look at the rankings right now, oh dear, I did screw that up again. The rankings are such that SAIDA is on top, then CrazyO, then Dutchian, Locutus, and then it's Banana Brain. And Banana Brain isn't all that far behind Locutus. And between Locutus and Dutchian there is an appreciable gap, and then it gets really wild until you meet CrazyO, and then above CrazyO you've got Seda. So there you go. We've got this Master Protoss on the march, going for a very fast core, and it's 1 core, 2 gate, and CrazyO is going for a nice wall of having suffered so many run-bys by Locutus. It had to put some kind of warp, and the wall's a little bit tighter, so might even do well versus some ranged goons without perfect micro. That said, this is pretty wacky to see a Stargate with... God, no, that you are not going to play scouts against... It's... you might try and play scouts against CrazyO, but it's not really going to work if their attacking pattern is going to look like this. Obviously not going to work, and it's just the 1 scout, so I think perhaps pretty BM to start with. And then, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, this looks like the stove where you start with scouts and then end in DTs. Scout might do some scouting actually to try and see if there were a comsat or perhaps an eBay with turrets. Right now there is an eBay and there aren't any turrets, might be soon. I think I saw, yes, there you go, it's the Templar Archives and the Nexus, of course, and CrazyO is reduced to playing very, very defensively. And that is really wacky. This scout is almost trying to abuse CrazyO into not opening the wall and to staying in base. Yeah, that worked really well. There is a Dark Templar in there. There are a couple of Dark Templars, but at this point they're going to... Oh, the wall is down! The wall is down, and... Oh, there is a turret as well, so that didn't really work as planned. And now the scout is being chased out from the Goliaths, but the Goliaths now, 1 gets cornered, 1 gets trapped outside of the base, it's got to run for its life. CrazyO has not got a comsat yet. And these Dark Templars are trying to do way too much. they sort of forget that there are turrets, and now it's a 2-base with a very paltry army. Banana Brain's only got 4 army supply, trying to rebuild, but then Dark Templars and wow, Arbiters at this point from a 2-base. While there is a large Terran push coming, it seems rather improbable that it's going to work, especially if CrazyO's got the Comsat at its disposal. But then again, it's only one Comsat, and this Dark Templar demonstrating that you need more than a Comsat. Of course, one Dark Templar does not a summer make, but perhaps there will be more. And there is one Dark Templar more, and these Dark Templars are really doing work on the Terran army. Where's the other one? Oh, the other one is playing chase with a couple of vultures, not really working as well as planned. And the scan goes off on one Dark Templar, but it's not going to be enough. And the Arbiter is taking heavy shots. And these Dark Templar they really need to do some killing quick, otherwise the Protoss Natural is going to be killed, or well, depopulated it already is. And now one Dark Templar still going at it. The other one must have been mine. And with the Arbiter and the cloaked units, I think that Banana Brain might be able to clear up the Natural, but mustn't take too many mine hits, because then that happens. And that's rather unfortunate if you were a goon. Now CrazyO staying on one base forever, and I can't really... It's really rather slow. And Banana Brain has got a deficit in army supply, but with the cloak is actually doing pretty well. CrazyO's only got that one Comsat, hasn't got a signed vessel, and this cloaked army is fighting these Terran goons pretty effectively. CrazyO committed to this one base push. Might work versus the Cuties, but versus Banana Brain you will need something else. 3rd base has been completed. Is there going to be a worker transfer? Yes, sort of. Here they come. And Terran does see it because of this mine, so should not be too much of a problem. There will be 2 turrets soon, but until that time vultures can sweep by and try to stop those probes from mining, and CrazyO still neglecting to build a natural. And now with the Arbiter and the goons, wow, this one Comsat is always empty, and even if it scans rightly and kills a couple of DTs or half a Protoss army, it's really not worth it. There are so many goons, and with the Arbiter overhead, they are pretty effective. There you go, there you can see it. So CrazyO will have to fight both the Gateway army and the Arbiter. The Arbiter is pretty badly wounded. But there you go. So Arbiter Tech for victory. 3rd base up and running. Production for Banana Brain is up to speed. That's a lot of goons. And although the upgrades for those goons are pretty abysmal, Banana Brain is now hitting CrazyO's main with a vengeance. There are 2 turrets. The point is that there are only about 10 army supply units left, and this bunker is firing strongly. The tank is still there. There is a tank at the rear, so CrazyO's holding on for dear life, but there is only this main and it's mining out. There are only 11 workers. The 4th base is operational for Banana Brain, and CrazyO is really feeling the heat, not only from the Cuties but also from Dutchian, its brother, now from Banana Brain, and of course from Seda. And this defense appears to be over. This tank is holding on strong, this turret is doing some scouting, some repair can be done, but the eco of CrazyO is completely wrecked. And although these 2 tanks, this last tank is doing a lot of damage, but then that is about it. There is one Arbiter with a little bit of health left, and that is enough to seal the deal. And this Gateway army is retreating for some reason. I couldn't possibly say why. Might have been so courteous as to kill the turrets for the Arbiter to have a little bit more maneuvering space. Oh, and we are going to see a shuttle with things in it. Storm is done. Let's see what the shuttle is going to bring. I fear that it will not really have anything to drop. And this Gateway army would be wise to kill some turrets, and that's the GG. CrazyO leaving the game, leaving it to Banana Brain, and the last game of today is another SAIDA versus CrazyO, because you can't really get much better than that. Well, actually you can, and I need to grab a replay of that. I need a game of... Yes, there you go. I need to have a replay of Locutus versus SAIDA, but for the time being the penultimate game will be SAIDA versus CrazyO, and the Samsung bot is going to play as the purple Terran over here. CrazyO trying to work its way out of this assault on its pre-position on the ladder with an aggressive bio play, doing some damage. That's good, killing a lot of SCVs. But Sada's got some SCVs of its own, and now it's got a Vulture as well, so these Marines of CrazyO had better be damn careful not to get shot by this Vulture. And they have great difficulties in microing and maintaining fire. Seda behind that is macroing up, building some Marines. CrazyO not building a natural command center, and I can only describe CrazyO tried to defend versus Locutus with a one base play, which is very good, but of course there are more enemies nearby, and those are called Banana Brain, Dutchian, Seda, and basically if you are number one, everyone is after you. So these Marines of CrazyO are now being chased back as quick as they marched onto the base, and their running is quite desultory, and they are going to fall and cornered, and now 2 tanks for Seda. CrazyO's got a natural, but how on earth is he going to defend versus this neck push with just Marines? And there is only one barracks, it's not even flashing, there is one factory. And the tanks of Seda's are moving back home while they had the game won. That is very unwise. There is one Vulture, it's doing its utmost, but the tank of CrazyO, it stops it, and that is one bit of miss. Okay, well this game's completely wacky. Seda had this game won, 2 tanks and a couple of Vultures out on the map, and CrazyO with a couple of Marines trying to hold on for dear life. Seda retreated, now CrazyO is trying to do something with 1 Marine, 1 tank and 2 stray Vultures. Meanwhile, Natural's up and running, and that of Seda as well. Seda is in a much better position. 4 workers down, but 11 army supply up. Upgrade-wise, CrazyO's got siege mode and Vulture speed, so CrazyO's got the better units. It's a pity for CrazyO that it's got only half the army supply. So now we get the next tank is going to go after this as well, and without air cover. Ooh, perhaps CrazyO's banking on making something happen while Seda hasn't got siege mode, and Seda is not going to defend quite well. That's very unfortunate. These tanks of CrazyO, they're pretty badly damaged, and now they get killed. Is there one more tank? Yes, it is there, but it's way out of reach, and Seda hasn't got... Oh, Seda's siege mode is nearly done. CrazyO needs to... but then again it misassesses the situation completely, like did Seda a couple of minutes earlier, and CrazyO's retreating as well. So both players had the game in their grasp and are now retreating from the fields of victory, but CrazyO has now retaken some of the map and is also... Oh dear, CrazyO is going to do this containing style, taking a third very aggressive right through the heart of the map, in the direction of the enemy, and with Seda's drop play, I don't know if that's the fastest way to kill it or to get killed yourself. CrazyO now with a single siege tank and with a little bit of air cover is trying to make things work. One more blast and the tank of CrazyO dies, and CrazyO now a little bit behind, but the third's up and running, and that is good news. Now CrazyO only needs to defend versus Seda, and with a couple of tanks, versus 2 Goliaths, that's surely not going to work. Seda building a couple of turrets immediately, or at least 1. So CrazyO building a nice defensive wall of depots around the natural, that's always good. Is trying to struggle for map control worker-wise. CrazyO at 71, Seda at only 40. But CrazyO's army is just as large, and it's not really concentrated. I've got this wild idea that Seda has got pretty good army control. Again, appears to be going for the high ground. CrazyO doesn't really appear to care about the high ground, but I need to look closer at Seda's army to see whether or not it actually will go for the high ground when given the chance. I can say that that is a lot of turrets, and a third base for Seda as well. And we see the defense, 1 turret, 2 tanks and 2 Goliaths. So that's pretty neatly done. CrazyO has finished the 4th already, and now is... Ooh, we'll need to shut this down so Seda won't get in there. And the big problem is going to be winning static tank battles like these. Seda, has it got an airport? Yes, it has. Small peak, and we do have a dropship in production, so Seda is going for drop play again, and Seda might just sally forth here with a couple of vultures, try and harass the eco somewhat. And there are some vultures roaming the map, and CrazyO's lost the initiative there. This base is no longer, well, it's sort of under construction, but it's cancelled. CrazyO is no longer on top of the harassment situation, and Seda is neglecting to harass this base. So both players in a strange kind of equilibrium in this game, and I don't really know what this is going to be. CrazyO building a factory? That's pretty wild. Why would you build a factory over here? Let's look at that. Oh, we've got 3 dropships. That's good. Because if you've got 3 dropships full, that will mean that Seda will launch its attack. 1, 2, 3. Yes, they're all there, and they're going the short way round to this base. There are a couple of turrets, but there is nothing much there, and in order to reinforce it, CrazyO will have to run the gauntlet here and catch a lot of fire, and that is a very nice position. This base immediately shut down, and it's good for CrazyO that it's got a lot of eco stuff happening over here. But this is a relatively sweet and short victory for, well, a quick victory for Seda. So Seda's army control is quite exceptional. It's got 140 versus the 90 army supply of CrazyO's. And CrazyO is under a lot of pressure. Meanwhile, a handful of vultures is running around the map trying to kill the tanks. CrazyO defending with some siege tanks, that's good. Got a dropship of its own. And the dropships, oh dear, I missed the dropships. Where are the dropships? I completely missed the dropship. Now CrazyO with a handful of raids is cleaning up the push, and with the tank as well, so did well there. You can see that reflected in army supply immediately. Oh, and the drop just hit over here. CrazyO's completely defenseless. Well, there is a couple of Goliaths, but all these tanks, they make short work of that. And now the Wraiths and the Goliaths are trying to do something about, and you've just got to run in there and save that base. And that's something that CrazyO is not prepared to do, losing yet another base. Seda playing this beautifully, losing some units in the process, but if you are trading units for bases, I think that's good. And this base, oh, this is not a base, just a factory, is being lost as well, and CrazyO just couldn't really commit to defending this base as well as it. Oh, and that tank just couldn't get off another shot and dies. Seda really on top of the harassment situation. It is everywhere. And the dropships, we've got 1, 2 dropships, another one must be in production. Oh no, there are 3 dropships, and this last one is going to load. CrazyO making a little headway towards the main of Seda, but Seda is pestering all of CrazyO's bases, and last dropship loads the last tank, and that's that 3 dropship thing now going the short way again, and they are not going to drop here because there are nothing but mines there. And CrazyO now has got 3 turrets over here, so might do well. And there are tanks going to be built over here, so might be in a good position. CrazyO with 2 tanks, and oh, CrazyO defends this beautifully. But now it's just 1 tank with 3. Oh, and that's just a couple of turrets lost, a little bit of mining time, but that's about it. Should repair this turret, no, too late. And CrazyO now trying to push over here. CrazyO's got the big army. CrazyO's maxed and Seda isn't, but Seda is well on top of the eco situation. And there you go. What's CrazyO going to do? CrazyO's going to lose yet another base. Going to speed it up just a tiny little amount because these games, they tend to take forever. And CrazyO's got a lot of workers, but hasn't got a lot of bases, so the income of CrazyO is reduced to this 1 base, and CrazyO hasn't got... Oh well, it's got another base here, and it's going to defend that with 1 tank. And that's pretty cute, and now CrazyO is trying to to inch in on this Terran army of Saidas. And Seda, what can it do? It can defend. And here comes the drop again, right on CrazyO's new base. And CrazyO ought to lift it, but it's going to lose yet another base. And now CrazyO's down to this base again. It's so heavily saturated, it's not even funny anymore. This base is oversaturated at once. Seda is suffering, but Seda hasn't got this full complement of SCV, so its army is pretty respectable. And CrazyO, although it's got the high ground, hasn't got vision for a moment, and Seda pounces on that, kills it, and takes a nice bit of army advantage. Another drop coming up. Where is it going to land? I doubt it's going to take out this factory. It's going to hit that base, and CrazyO, again caught with its pants down, going to lose yet another base, and it cannot afford to do so. This base completely mined out. Seda, though, is losing too, and that is can be just as deadly, because CrazyO is still the #1 bot, and, oh well, not really, but it's still very good, and you can't really let this go on for too long. Seda with the drop, rolling into here, and is going to take a lot of force to try and stop it. This Wraith immediately should be blasting the siege tank, but is not doing so. The tank is killing the command center, and you cannot... Ah, that is so painful to watch. One tank is shutting down an entire base while there are Wraiths available to try and kill it, and that's just not on. CrazyO, though, has got the way superior army. Seda is out of gas, has got one base and another one. Whoa, that's pretty wild. But CrazyO has got some tank action of its own, and with another one tank is shutting down a complete expansion. So CrazyO taking, I think, is going to take this game, because Seda's out of money. This base gets lifted. That's a good functionality to have. It's only the one base that Seda's got left. And now CrazyO is at the brink of entering the main base. It's maxed. It's got nearly triple the army supply of Seda, and Seda, what can it do at this point? Well, with this one tank, take down another complete command center for reasons. And that is going to be a really big issue to try and stop that harass thing with only one tank. Now CrazyO is going to take this game. I'm going to call the GG and head into today's last game. This broadcast has been going for way too long, but the games are just so good. I just needed to know at this point what the number 2 or the number 3 versus the number 1 might look like. Now that's Dutchian, the update of the Cutis, and Dutchian is playing as the Teal Protoss, and Seda, the Samsung Terran, is playing as the Orange Terran in the... oh, at the bottom slot of the map. It's just a 2-player map. And let's see if Dutchian's Goon Micro is good enough. Oh, that's also a way to do a run by. And now with the Goon range, got... oh no, and Seda's got this tank out just right on time to try and stop that. Now with Siege mode, it's 2 versus 2 bases, and generally speaking that might be to the advantage of the Terran. Look, the cutest. Dutchian now starting a 3rd base, and pardon me for wrapping this game up in record speed, but my voice is giving way, and that's not going to benefit anyone. So Dutchian is going to build a nice gateway army, while Seda is going to defend. Seda setting up shop with a double comsat and a lot of infrastructure. Some turrets all over the place, that's always good to have, and Dutchian with a 3 base versus Seda's 2 base. The problem is that Dutchian is not really going to get anywhere beyond those bridges. There are just too many tanks, there are mines, there is a bunker. That's not possible to break through there. 4th base, 5th base for Dutchian. Still, the fact remains that these tanks in a tight push can do more damage than Dutchian could possibly produce with just gateways. Production is okay, and here comes Dutchian, but it really hasn't got the balls to approach these bridges. And will there be dropships? No, not yet. This is a large... a couple of plagues might work wonders there, but of course as a Protoss you haven't got plague. Now Seda is stuck on 2 bases, but Dutchian can't really hold that, and Dutchian is going to make the +1 air attack, is going to switch to some kind of carrier thing, and is taking way too many losses from these tanks. And now the vultures, they lay some mines, the zealots evaporate immediately, and the tanks, they claim their toll, blue soup everywhere. And the Dutchian appears to be switching into carriers. There is Templar tech. Wow, but there is no real Templar technology ready yet. And Dutchian is just grinding into these siege tanks, and you can see its army faltering. The main force, Seda, is not out yet, so it's very dangerous, the thing that Dutchian is doing. There is blue soup all over the map. The question is, are the carriers... Oh, there are no carriers. That is really weird. Oh, there's 1 carrier in production and a lot of forces, but these gateway units versus the tanks, and even the upgrades of Seda's aren't too good, but these tanks just, they wreak havoc with these goons. And there is 1 carrier now, and there isn't all that much anti-air, so that might work for a bit. Meanwhile, it's going to be so very bloody expensive for Dutchian to try and stay in this game. Bases must be lost, but with the carrier overhead, Seda has no choice but to give up the contain. Has started the 3rd base right on time because the main's mining out. Building SCV getting caught, that's just a minor problem for it at this moment. But 1 carrier and a handful of gateway units is pursuing the army of Seda, and Seda hasn't really got an answer as of yet. Is there any kind of anti-air in production? No. Yeah, well, a handful of Goliaths. Oh, EMP going off on the goons, and this carrier surely isn't going to take on all these Goliaths head on. That is just not done. Carrier micro might be a little bit better. Is there any more in production? Yes, 1 more carrier. And oh, there you go. Yes, that's going to be cannon. This base will be taken as well. And now, Dutchian is hitting round the back, but leaving the main open. And of course, this carrier is still there, but it's very exposed, and the entire ground army just walked right behind it. And now Dutchian, having taken care of this 1 base over here, reducing Seda to just 1 mining base for a time. Large problem though is that there is a large Terran force heading at the Protoss Natural. The reinforcements will be cut off because the returning army from taking down the 3rd of Terran is going to tear into the reinforcements. There are a lot of tanks still, and it's just a little bit too late. The zealots, they reach the tanks, and Dutchian is fighting for its life with the carrier overhead. This carrier is still here, losing a lot of interceptors, but Seda doesn't really know what to do with it. And with some gateway reinforcement, this carrier over here is doing a lot of damage, and is so lifting the contain, lifting the blockade of the natural, and a lot of tanks die. And now you can see Dutchian, although it's got the inferior army in supply, it is going to clean up this contain. Now, what will we do? Seda is out of money over here, and this game is about to end. There are 2 carriers, and with the production capacity it has, no more carriers are being built, but there are 3, and Seda doesn't really know what to do with them. 2 carriers coming up, cleaning up some tanks, and now some Goliaths as well. That is going to spell the doom of Seda. Seda is out of money. Dutchian has got lots. Another EMP going off, but that's not going to be Seda's worst weapon. The problem is that there are 2 carriers, and Seda's anti-carrier game is just not good enough. The gateway units, they die in droves. There are mines, there are tank blasts, there are EMPs, but in the end it's the carriers with the vast superior numbers of Dutchians which are going to seal this game. And long distance mining while there are cannons pounding at your SCVs is not going to work. So I'll have to say welcome Seda, and congratulations on making #1 so quickly. Now you're #1, the entire pack will be after you, so good luck, have fun beating them down, and I thank you all for watching and recommending games, and also for coding these beautiful monsters. Congratulations Dutchian, and for now, good night and goodbye.